dear friends, today I would like to read more from the more than 30 years old prophecies of Paisios ΣΒΑΤΟΓO found in this book. And the reason for that is that they seem to be the most detailed, authentic, confirmed prophecies about how exactly will play out this marking of the people with 666. For those who have not seen the previous episode where he is mentioned, he is one of the most revered saints of the last century at Mount Athos and in Greece and in the entire Orthodox Christianity. And that's why in the last 3 decades many books have been devoted to the teachings he gave to the people in various meetings, and they have been published again and again in many languages. He delivered messages which he received directly from the divine, not something which he just read in books and beliefs. And now, in the recent years, it is becoming clear that also his end-time prophecies are basically until now 100% true and with greatest detail. Probably only the prophecies of Mary Gehenny could rival his in terms of amount of details provided. By then, the earth will turn into mad people's asylum home. In the news you will hear about unbelievable insanities happening in one country after another all the time. Good, at least, that everything will be over in a short period of time. There will be great chaos in which everybody will want a good leader, and then they will say, yes, that's who he is. And he will say, yes, I'm Buddha, yes, I'm Christ. To others he will tell, I'm your Messiah. He will have 5 faces, but will he have the blessings of the Lord? Because of this entire story, many good things will come up at the end. First generation satanic paradigm managed the earth for 70 years. However, the second generation satanic paradigm will not last even 7 years. Somebody asked Paisios ΣΒΑΤΟΓO, are the Satanists really that stupid to select as their number exactly 666? Although everybody knows, even non-Christians, that this is the number associated with the mark of the beast. Wouldn't be they smart enough to select another number? Paisios ΣΒΑΤΟΓO answered that the history of this number is connected to the days of glory in historic sense of the satanic crowd, when they were conquering other nations and were forcing them to pay them tax. And that tax amounted to 666 talents of gold per year. So they will decide to follow the tradition and use their old number because their fantasy goal currently is to get the world domination. Or at least that's the way the common people see it, the small players who do the dirty work. The bigger players, of course, who are deeper, even deeper into Satanism, they know even more. And now there is yet another sickness, and the inoculation for it is already there. They will make it compulsory, and when they put the injection, they will also put the stamp, the mark of the beast. And those who do not have it will be banned from buying, selling, taking loans, or having an employment. In Brussels, above the central computer, they have built an entire palace with 666. That computer is capable of controlling billions of people. Somebody asked about the number of the beast being present on the various currency banknotes. Since we just use these banknotes now, isn't it fair to say that we will be simply using their mark, their new documents in the same way? Paisios ΣΒΑΤΟΓO replied that using their satanic banknotes when we trade with them is one thing. However, when it comes to identification documents, that is something personal. This signifies who are you and who is the Lord to which you bow down. Somebody says that, you see, when I sign for the new documents, in front of my name I will put a cross like a symbol to whom I belong, and then that sacrilege of the Antichrist will not touch me. However, this will not work for those who betray Christ. Question: what is the relation of the new documents and the mark of the beast? The new documents as such will not be the stamp itself, they will be only the introductory offer for those who will wear the mark on their bodies afterwards. And now, the cunning method of actually stamping the people. It's quite amazing that these prophecies were spoken more than 30 years ago, and the detail is absolutely correct. Gradually, with small steps at a time, they will be introducing all kinds of cards and certificates, personal certificates, until they don't reach to the point of making your entire personal record. And then they will start. They will create all kinds of calamities and chaos and difficulties of all type and description for the people, and the answer will be always, please use only your cards, because money will be no longer relevant. In the cashless society, unless one doesn't pay with a card, he will not be able to buy or sell anything in the shop. While at the same time they start their advertising campaign of the super perfect system. Just we will put something minor and invisible on your forehead or hand, and then you will be worry-free and secure, because the thief can steal only your card and not your head. At the same time, they will constantly show on TV horror stories of innocent people losing everything they have due to credit card theft or identity theft. They will give green light to all kinds of hackers and thieves. They will make it very easy for them. They will make the situation with this type of crime so unbearable that the governments will have to say something to the people, and what they will say is, we're really sorry, but we just cannot cope with the situation. We are unable to. We simply don't have the resources, and it's overwhelming. So we, the people, we cannot stop this crime, but the computer can. And that's how most people, by far the most, will voluntarily take this laser imprint on their bodies, and on the computer it will light up and show if the person under question is marked or not. Those who are not will not receive any service whatsoever. 3.5 years will be difficult for those who will not accept the mark. They will try all kinds of cunning techniques to put them in jail. For example, they will set up the things like this, that legal theft will run rampant. Like, for example, anybody could come to you and say, I sue you because actually your land, it belonged to my grandfather, and he just gave it on rent to your grandfather. It's not really yours. So they will arrange all that. They will arrest innocent people, and after that they will make them endlessly wait for trial in jail, and then they will transfer them to another jail, and then their turn in court never comes, and then they are transferred to a third jail, and only after a long time they will free them and tell them, oh, sorry, you were innocent, sorry for the mistake, why didn't you get the stamp yourself, the laser imprint, then we would have checked everything for you in 1 minute and you didn't have to stay in jail. So they will be creating difficulties and calamities, but they will twist the stories when they broadcast them on the TV in such a way that it will look like those who have not accepted the mark are pathetic, old-fashioned losers who haven't figured out the most simple thing yet. Get a card, get a stamp, and go on for your life, otherwise you're doomed to just eternal misery. People will buy it. Somebody asked Paisios SVYATOGO whether they will be marking people by force. Before you hear the answer, please keep in mind that these prophecies are very much locally oriented for Greece. He answered that they will not reach that far because they will be very correct and polite like real Europeans. They will be so noble and benevolent when they distribute the mark of the beast. They will not hunt down and torture people. They will just cut them off from the society. But it will be possible to survive the short ordeal. Just plant some potatoes, tomatoes, couple of chicken. God will not leave his people, and for them these 3.5 years will pass very, very quick. They will not notice it very much. When I first heard these prophecies, immediately they reminded me of a conversation which I had some 10 years ago with a very high-level internet developer who at that time was into creating new protocols for internet, that type of stuff, and also credit card payments for banks. So he was telling me about a strange, at that time for him at least, trend in these card payments. Basically, the banks, they hire experienced personnel. However, for some reason, the end products has really, as if on purpose, built-in flaws. Like, for example, ridiculously lousy vulnerability issues. They just leave certain gates for hackers wide open, and these gates are not at all difficult to find. So that was 10 years ago. What is the plan now? Will increase in future tense. And the result? Who is smarter? The one who heard this very same story 20-30 years ago from the saint himself or the books, or the people who realize what is happening only now after they have fallen in the trap, and they prefer to hear the story from seasoned shills like Alex Jones. So here is a very mild hint of this nonsense which Paisios Pythagoras mentioned, which will be appearing in the news in one country after another. Even in a very organized place like Japan, they have created such a financial chaos that it drove the price of gold in their currency not only to all-time highs, but quite steep upwards. Are you ready for the upcoming financial roller coasters? Don't forget that gold may help you to some extent, but even with gold, you won't be able to buy and sell when the beast comes. And something else from the news, just one randomly picked out of them all. The secretive Mason lodges, they're launching a program to keep your children safe, collecting their DNA sample and biometric data. And the number of similar programs, databasing the entire population with the biometric data and the various disguises. I personally don't even bother to read the entire headlines of similar news, what to speak of details about the programs. I think this is a really waste of time at this point, because it is more than obvious where things are going. I feel that it is very important for me. At this point, I have already reduced internet time significantly. I would barely even go near the computer unless I make a video. I use all my energy for prepping, mostly spirit prepping. For me personally, at this point, it's very important to develop such type of kindness and politeness that even if zombies approach me, I should not be disturbed by that, and I should remain calm and see them as souls, be respectful and kind to them. Of course, the best option is to be in the forest where there are no zombies. But who knows if we will all have this luxury? We might be confined by floods, by curfews, by giant cracks in the earth, being crippled, unable to run away. And out of all the insane things around, one I think is the worst, or at least that impresses me most, is how even good people non-fixed people turn into zombies just by staying for long hours at night in front of the computer. And now information which I think is very important for serious preppers. Finally, I got hold of the stuff we really need to know. There are simple, very clear instructions how to solve all these problems using just simple materials. And the man who recommended me this book, he said that, because he is definitely prepping seriously, he said that a couple of years ago he made such temporary fillings guided by this book, and it stayed for 2 years without a problem on his tooth. You can download the book for free in any format you wish here. Somebody submitted the following viewer question: why and how will Japan sink? Any survivors? Can Japan continue? So based on my current level of knowledge on these topics, I can reply to my best. Why will it sink if it does? The answer is in this book, which is absolutely free of cost. The simple answer is because of the consciousness of the people on it. However, to understand what does that mean, you need to read the book. Now, regarding the details of how exactly it could sink, the only description I have encountered is in the EndTimes Prophecies in the previous episodes. And on the subject of can Japan continue, the answer is I don't know, because from what I gather from all the authoritative sources, certain events are fixed, they cannot be changed, others are not. I don't recollect reading anywhere to which of the two groups this event belongs. And now, a bit of gossip from the cosmos, channeled for us by the Slavic gentleman, whom I mentioned in my previous video. Although this source remains with the status unverified, I continue sometimes to include unverified information only when I specify that it is as such, just because most of the previous unverified things turned out to be okay. I have more doubts now about ОТРОКА Pavel, that's why I have made the two videos private. And in addition, one or two or couple of years ago I mentioned Russian priest Zosima. I might have included the link to his YouTube channel. I hope nobody is following him because of me, because as it turns out, he is either gone mad or he's creating some sort of dangerous new sect. This is the Orthodox channel which I follow currently. I think this priest is kind of nearer, closer to the original message of Christ, at least the way I perceive things. And now, the most recent developments, according to the Slavic gentleman, inspired into him by the force of the Creator, in his own words. So we have all heard how important are crystals for the entire creation and the magical structure of the reality around. And the parasites, of course, are very much interested in them. But what a bummer! They're banned from manipulating them and putting them for evil use, because the access to properly programming them, at least on that level, is cut off currently. Yeah, but they have a way around everything. They created their own crystal, their own structure, they engineered it, and they made it a must component for all their chips in electronics. So not only they bake our brains with the electromagnetic waves, which we more or less have a clue, microwave, what are they doing, but they're also putting black magic crystals in the devices. Now, for the grand finale of their devilish plan, when their king comes, they have prepared us a show of unimaginable proportions. So the technical way of executing their black magic would have been that they activate with various signals these numerous crystals around the houses of the people, and that's how they create the effects, whatever they wish, consciousness management, images in the skies, talking ghosts, or whatever they want to manufacture in their reality. However, this 3, 4, 5G, they did not work as expected in the real world. They did not activate enough. Basically, they did not manage to have enough very high power frequency towers next to each house, and they don't have the worldwide coverage as they wanted it. That's why they're delaying their plan. It seems they are delaying it for now for 2 decades, possibly because of this. Again, this is unconfirmed information. And now finally it started more or less functioning, at least in the big cities. And that's why they are getting ahead. Gradually they are introducing the same crystal in powder form in various foods. Like they have started with some of the key ingredients in chocolates. It seems they haven't yet managed to cover all the chocolate in the world. Maybe they just bribed a few major manufacturers or ingredients exporters, whatever. But the way it will go on, they will add it to more and more foods. So according to our source, they're still in experimental phase, but if it all runs okay for them, they will also start dispersing it in the air, and then they will get even braver and show their real colors. We haven't seen anything yet. One of the most asked questions about the end times is what is the fate of children who get fixed and wear the mark of the beast without their consent, and the Slavic gentleman also shared the information he received in this regard, and that is, the parents are fully responsible and they will have to pay the bill on the judgment day or before that. And as far as the souls of the children who will have to live through that, first of all, we have to understand that this Freudian paradigm of children being born like blank pages is simply not true. Souls decide their destiny before they get born, and in the books of Jane Roberts, you can start with The Nature of Personal Reality, available for free on the Team Hart channel, explained with plenty of examples why would souls embark on such difficult lives. There is no short answer for those who remain in the Freudian paradigm, which is more than 99% of the people nowadays. People asked Paisios Svyatogorets how to discriminate between a real angel and the evil spirit which appears disguised as an angel. And Paisios replied, the humble people, even if they are inexperienced in these mystic matters, they will manage to recognize who is the true angel because of their internal purity. They are kind of kin, they are related to the angels. So they will feel the difference. While the superficial people, for whom creature comforts are the primary thing, they will go for the empty disguise. Paisios Svyatogorets was connected directly to the source, and he spoke whatever he heard from him. Just as an example, he spoke about reincarnation because that's what he saw in his visions. He did not go for the version of the books. So, although rare, they are still saints in the church. And that's why So a viewer sent me this interesting photograph from England of octopus knights. It could be relevant to the topic of this video. The knight's armor as exoskeletons for other races. Link to better photos in the description. So it flashes way too often lately in the alternative media, which is mostly mainstream media in disguise. Headlines of the sort, the fixed people have 5 months to live, or something like that. And immediately they put the attention of the reader onto the depopulation topic. And that's it. And then we see that after 5 months and all the pandemics and all the fixes, yes, people are getting sick, some are dying, but in overall, like if you see the world rate of dying, there isn't any drastic change at all. They are using the tactic of using truth to deceive people. The depopulation program, yes, it exists. However, by making people's attention focus on the horrors, possible horrors of death as such, and in feeding in them the fear from death, they're doing them a bad favor, because people should be focusing on what are they doing about their immortal soul. Do they even feel in any way that it is immortal? Or maybe they should work a bit on that instead of staring at the football match or the beer all night long. In older times, when people were smarter and they were overwhelmed by demons, satanists, they considered two possible outcomes: either honorable death or living outside the grip of the demons. In Russia, they have already started raiding the homes of Orthodox priests who are preaching the same message of Paisios, which I outlined earlier in this video. So the time in which you will hear the truth is very short. As time goes on, you will get less and less opportunities to hear the truth at all. Instead, you will hear their priests who are telling you, oh, spirituality is joy. Just make a small compromise. Come on, it's just a passport. Welcome to hell.